cautionary tale of what happens when you have a baby on the second day of school. No, really. When I found out I was pregnant, I was so excited. But when I found out that she was due September 17th, my heart dropped. Because teachers can't have a baby in September. Kindergarten teachers can't have a baby on the 12th day of school. When I told my principal that I was pregnant, I apologized. Because when my students come into my classroom, I'm not just their teacher, I'm their school mom. Automatically, I'm responsible for their social, their emotional, their academic, their behavioral well-being. So you can imagine how I felt when sweet Cora Maeve was born on the second day of school. Oops. Now, like any other teacher mom, I spent the first 3 or 4 weeks soaking in every minute with my little family. Every smile, every snuggle, every second. But then the teacher dream set in. And in those rare moments when I was asleep, and they were rare, let me tell you, I was dreaming about the little people I left behind. Because this teacher mom thing, this school mom thing, doesn't just come and go. What were they doing? How were they doing it? What were they learning? Would they even know me when I came back? And those worries spilled over, as they tend to do, into obsessive Instagramming and Pinteresting for ways to make the remainder of their year the best that it could possibly be. So when I was awake in the middle of the night with a baby, I was also lesson planning, reorganizing my classroom, and trying to plan ways to make my little learners successful. Because let's face it, I don't just have 2 kids, I have 24. So if you have a baby on the second day of school, you will spend countless middle of the night hours planning ways to help them learn. As educators, I think we all know the importance of reading to school success. But I don't think any of us can guarantee that our students are being read bedtime stories every night, that they're discussing their favorite authors or their favorite characters, that they're pointing to sight words in books or defining the vocabulary words that they hear. To be honest, some kindergartners arrive the first day not even knowing the letters in their name. Pre-reading skills aren't even on the horizon yet. So when I was up in the middle of the night planning cool things I would like to try and sending Mike emails, yes, my first email was written at 2:30 in the morning. I didn't send it though, I couldn't be that person. So I saved it for another day and time that would be way more appropriate. But I'll admit it now, when I was up in the middle of the night sending Mike emails, I was looking for a way to help my little learners be successful, a way to introduce them to books and to characters, and a way to instill a love of learning. And if you send Mike an email, you can be sure that he will implement some pretty cool technology things in your classroom.
And for me, this is what I really love about my job. And this is what I love about teachers like Lauren, because she really understands the power of using technology in the classroom and leveraging that for student growth. But for us, this isn't just a story about taking an idea and turning it into a reality. This is really a story about 2 teachers with support for each other through this process that allow us an opportunity to stand up here and to share that with you.
And I messed up our PowerPoint, so there you go. Kindergarten teachers don't use PowerPoints. Kindergartners may not come to school with a knowledge of books, but they certainly have a knowledge of technology. Most could probably run this PowerPoint better than me. They can access things on a tablet or a Chromebook better than most adults. Which is why it's a shame that the technology we had available for introducing books and helping them read independently, if you can even call tape cassettes and tape decks technology. I mean, really, we would introduce, what?
You there?
Yep, but it's not there. There's no tape deck. See, this is why I'm not the technology guy. Sometimes, so if you can even call tape decks technology, when we were using tape decks for students to read books independently, sometimes they would be in groups sharing a book like this. Sometimes they would be with a CD player independently. But it would be their job to rewind the tape or to take it out and turn it over and get it ready for the next group. It wasn't something that was relevant to kindergartners. And in fact, a lot of instructional time was spent trying to teach my young learners how to use this kind of technology. So when this project began, I knew that I didn't know a lot about QR codes. I barely knew what a QR code was, let alone how to make one. That was something I had to admit really early on. But what I did know is that we had the technology available. We had all of these tablets just sitting in my classroom unused. In fact, our technology department called them unserviceable. They didn't know how to use the technology that they gave us. I also knew that my kindergartners had the prerequisite skills to be able to listen to stories on the tablets. Suddenly, reading books, something that was daunting to my kids and overwhelming and not really something that they necessarily experienced before, was something that was highly motivating and exciting for them. Something that they could do independently, and best of all, something that encouraged choice. My students can now choose any book from our digital library that they want to listen to. It opened up a huge possibility of learning.
And for me, the story begins after that initial email. I was a classroom teacher for 18 years that had just been given the role of an instructional technology coach for our district. And although I've been working with other teachers in our district, helping them to integrate technology and trying to find cool things for their students, this really was the first project for me that when we started this, you could see could be bigger than just the four walls of that teacher's classroom. Initially, there were many hurdles that Lauren and I had to navigate, and it definitely looked pretty messy. I would say if you came in the first couple of days for us starting this project, we definitely would have been in the ineffective area of the 5E rubric. And although I'd spent 18 years in the classroom, none of those were in elementary. So I was still trying to figure out what progress looked like at that level. And luckily Lauren was just as patient working with me as she is working with all the 5 and 6-year-olds that she gets to spend time with every day. And this little project for us that started with 10 books has now turned into a digital library of nearly 400. A process that for us took about 2 years to try to figure out now can easily be replicated in any of our teachers' classrooms in our district. I go into the classroom, I spend about an hour every day for 3 consecutive days. And usually by the 3rd day, because of how good the students are with technology, usually it's for me just kind of sitting off to the side, watching students helping each other, and they love this idea of choice. Students get choices to open up this world of books and this idea of storytelling. For me, it's not about helping kindergartners learn how to read. It's really trying to eliminate this reading barrier and to get them to fall in love with the idea of books and storytelling. We also are pretty lucky because we work in a district that's very supportive of technology, and more importantly, a district that is very supportive for teachers getting very messy with technology. And early on for us, it was, you saw the students with the tablets. We were borrowing tablets from anywhere we can. We were using our own personal devices to now being a fully functioning one-to-one district all the way down to the kindergarten level. I love getting into the elementary classrooms. For the first time in my career, when I show up, students actually enjoy seeing me. For the first time in my career, I show up and I have these little kids come up and giving hugs. And I don't know how many of you work in the middle school or the high school level. That never happened. So, for me, that is a really kind of exciting piece. I also love getting the emails. As an instructional technology coach, I love getting the emails like I got from Lauren at the beginning. Emails like the ones you saw at the beginning of the story. For me, although they begin with a single teacher in a single classroom, you know that those projects are going to grow to impact many teachers, and in our case, they now impact hundreds of students in a positive way in our district.
All right, this is the cautionary tale of what happens when you have a baby on the 2nd day of school. Although I don't recommend it, because of Cora, I had an idea, and because of that idea, I sent an email, and because of that email, we're here with you guys today. If you're brave enough to reach out and to ask for help and to admit that you don't know something, and then to step out of your comfort zone and try some new things, who knows what ideas we're going to come up with next.